The rain battered Edward the Blue Engine as he puffed along the main line. The storm had raged across the island for a week, making life on the railway difficult. The trucks had been troublesome too. They hadn't wanted to venture out in such awful weather. This made him late heading to the big station. Edward didn't mind though. With every wheel turn, he grew more and more excited. The Fat Controller had just finished work on a new engine shed, and there was to be a special train of enthusiasts to take pictures of all the steam engines to celebrate its grand opening. On his return journey, Edward was stopped at the junction, and soon Bear roared through with his coaches. The Fat Controller was on board. They were on their way to the mainland and would be back in the morning with the enthusiast special. Edward whistled cheerfully and set off again. As he approached his station, he was surprised to see the breakdown cranes hard at work on the line. Trucks lay at odd angles and coal was everywhere. He surveyed the scene as he passed by cautiously. "What happened here?" he murmured. That afternoon, Edward was still concerned when he returned to his station. Boko was shunting the cranes into the yard. Before he could ask anything, Boko huffed indignantly. "It isn't fair. They're going to send him away." "Whom do you mean?" "It's Diesel. Percy had a bad accident at your station today, Edward, and James says he saw Diesel push some trucks into him. Since the Fat Controller is away, the inspector is in charge and he's decided to send Diesel away. He'll be back on the mainland before the morning." "You must be able to persuade the inspector to think otherwise," asked Boko. "It all seems incredibly unnecessary." "The evidence seems clear. I can't change that," sighed Edward sadly. "What is it?" "The facts have not been fully explored." "Who cares?" shouted Bill. "He's had it coming for ages," added Ben. "That doesn't mean the inspector has any right to be so harsh on him," explained Boko. "He's changed a lot over the years. He deserves a fair trial." Edward considered the case. "I'm off to take Rosie's train while she's at the works. Please, Edward, show a little kindness on Diesel." And then, in a quiet, hurt voice, added, "I thought this mistrust of Diesel's was behind us." Boko rolled away. The other Diesel engines thought Diesel's punishment was too harsh and called for the decision to be reconsidered for when the Fat Controller returned to the railway. But it fell on deaf ears. Edward could hardly take notice of the grand new sheds as he puffed crossly in. Engines were huddled in corners whispering. Percy was surrounded by workmen as the inspector was telling them what to do. Worst of all, James was saying loudly to anyone who would listen that Diesel would finally be gone soon, much to the delight of the bigger engines. Edward looked at each face around the turntable. He was disappointed to see not a single Diesel engine had been summoned to fight for Diesel's cause. He whistled loudly. "We must discuss Diesel," he said firmly. "Inspector, I don't believe you have all the facts, and that I would like to deliberate over everything with my friends here." The inspector, who was already late for his tea, hesitantly agreed. "I'm in charge while Sir Topham Hatt is away," he said bluntly. "You have until first light to convince me not to send Diesel away forever." He slammed the shed door closed behind him. Everyone puffed up to the edge of the turntable and glared at Edward. "Right, let's get this started then," grumbled Henry. "The facts are clear," began Gordon. "Our poor Percy was forced off the rails by Diesel's reckless behaviour. James is our witness and saw Diesel there, and then caught him fleeing the scene." "Exactly," agreed James. "Are we all clear about what happened and agree that Diesel is the culprit?" The engines did. "That's settled then." "No, it is not. I don't agree." "What? I beg your pardon?" "Don't you believe he hurt me, Edward?" whimpered Percy sadly. "I'm afraid not. I believe the trucks did, but not under the guidance of Diesel." "What is the meaning of this?" snorted Gordon. "Explain yourself." "I believe this is not a fair trial," said Edward calmly. "You all possess resentment towards Diesel for his past grievances." "And for good reason," burst out Duck. "But do not let this cloud your judgment on the facts presented to us. Diesel's life may very well hang in the balance. We all know what will happen to Diesel if he is exiled to the mainland." "He'll be fine." "But what if he's not?" interrupted Oliver. "I couldn't live without my conscience if I sent Diesel away to be scrapped." "Diesel's didn't think twice about scrapping you," huffed Douglas. "But that was a different time," said Toby. "And besides, that wasn't Diesel personally." "Enough! We are digressing about matters that are irrelevant." "I saw the whole thing." "No, you didn't," objected Edward. "You were flagged down after the accident. So how did you see Diesel push Percy off the rails?" "Well, I didn't see that particular part of the crime. But I did see him run away." "Indeed. Innocent engines don't just run away," puffed Thomas. "Only those that have something to hide," added Henry. Emily interjected. "Well, maybe he thought you'd all prejudge him. I can see at least 8 engines here that would do that without a reason." The engines began to grumble. "Nonsense! She makes a perfectly valid point. Accusing us of prejudice? No better than you accusing Diesel." "Let us take a vote," announced Edward. "All in favour of guilty, please sound your whistle. And all those in favour of innocent." "Oliver," gasped Duck. "After all Diesel did to me, that was years ago. You must learn to put the past behind you." "I have." "Betrayer! Nothing of the sort. He's allowed his own opinion, Gordon." "I don't think Diesel did it. No one saw him do it, just that he was there." "Rubbish! Of course he did," cut in Henry. "I saw him a few hours before being careless with the trucks. Bumping them about, he looked in the right frame of mind to run anyone off the rails." "We all get like that sometimes with the trucks," admitted Thomas. "That's nothing new there." "Are you sticking up for him? I'm only making a point." "Besides, nearly all of us bump our trucks to make them behave. What's to say Diesel wasn't just doing that?" "Because all Diesels are devious," grunted Douglas. You can't trust them," agreed Donald. "What year are we in? Who's rattled your bell? Have we decided to go back in time and undo everything we've built with our Diesel companions? Or are you all just shallow?" "Toby, no all Diesels are devious. Some of them are our closest and most loyal of friends. Mavis has been nothing but an exceptional friend to me, and there are plenty of others like her and many of you. There's Oko and Daisy and spared and ain't but a few? The engines thought for a moment. They've helped us through many situations. Of course, there are those we don't see eye to eye with, but that's the beauty of having different personalities. Diesels are like us. There are those who are kind and endearing. Then there are those who are pompous and insufferable. You're right, Toby, reconsidered Donald, and we take back what we said. But we still didn't reveal why young Diesel was bumping those trucks. I know the freight diagrams, and Diesel was bumping coal trucks. He wasn't rostered to pull them. But Diesel is a shunter. Maybe he was preparing the train, and maybe he stole it to run our wee Percy off the rails. Taking something that's not yours. Sounds familiar, murmured Thomas. Remember my special coach? The twins looked hurt. And swapping tenders so you could deceive the Fat Controller, added Edward. Ach, are we on trail here? What's your point? The point is, we all make mistakes and sometimes we do silly things to conceal it, so we won't get into trouble, explained Edward. Maybe the whole situation was an accident and nothing more, finished Thomas. The twins muttered something to each other. It wasn't distinguishable amongst the other engines, but they knew not to disturb them. They finally stopped whispering and crossly looked away from each other. After a long silence, Edward asked for another vote. All in favour of guilty, please whistle. All in favour of not guilty? A complete divide, observed Toby. Percy, do you still believe Diesel is guilty? Of course he does. Shut up and let him speak, snapped Thomas. Diesel has played tricks on me before. Remember the time, Duck? He was sent to help us at the harbour. He used to bump me whenever I wanted a chance to rest. Remember? I do indeed, Percy. But that was such a long time ago. Well, has Diesel done such things again? Excluding your recent incident. Percy thought back. Nothing comes to mind. I've had a lot of accidents, but nothing caused by Diesel, admitted Percy. You see? To be honest, I've made a few mistakes in my time here too, and I've never been told I'd be sent away because of it. That's because you're not a miscreant, Percy. I don't know what that is. So do you think that Diesel's punishment is too harsh? Well, thinking about it, yes. Yes, I think it is. And do you think he did it? Stop putting words in his mouth, shouted Gordon. Says you who told us that the facts were clear beforehand. Did anyone else see Diesel before the incident? No one had. So what do you remember seeing at the harbour, Henry? Well, I didn't stop, but I do remember seeing Diesel. We know that. Was there anybody else there? Insisted Donald. Think again, Henry. Think carefully, said Edward. Henry paused for a moment. He tried to recall his movements that day. I remember passing through the harbour yards. I saw Diesel bumping the trucks, and what? And I saw Rosie there too. Yes, that's right. Rosie was in the yards. Trust you to miss a bright pink engine. She could tell us what happened. Rosie was sent to the works earlier today. They're doing a rush job on her so she can be here for the photos in the morning. Actually, she should be here any... Let me in, let me in! Not by the smoke of my chimney, chim-chim, chuckled Toby to himself. Ugh, I nearly dropped my brick arch there. The doors swung open and in came Rosie. Phew, what a storm. No leaks in this shed roof, though. Would you look at this place, eh? She trailed off. All of her friends were looking at her. No one was smiling. After she was informed of what was going on, Edward asked her the all-important question. What do you remember on the day of Percy's accident? The engines waited with anticipation. Well, began Rosie, I was sitting in a siding at the harbour when Diesel arrived. Shunting coal trucks for you isn't how I thought I'd be spending my day, grumbled Diesel. Well, know this, Diesel. I am very appreciative of your help. Besides, you'd only be shunting elsewhere. How did you damage your buffers anyway? Bill and Ben have been bumping the trucks about when they are bored. One rolled right into me. Driver says my buffers are badly cracked, that I'll need new ones at the works. And I'm apparently the troublesome one. Bill and Ben are reckless. And you're just a wreck, laughed the trucks. Shut up and get in line. Diesel bumped the trucks furiously. It wasn't long till Diesel had finished shunting and was awaiting further instructions. Presently, Bill and Ben steamed into the yard. There were no trucks for them to take, so they decided to play their game. Bill found an empty truck and bumped it towards Ben. Heads up, Ben! Shouted Bill. Careful, you two. This is exactly how you put me out of service, scolded Rosie. Lighten up, Rosie. At least you can get some time off work. Yeah, we're only having fun. The twins continued to play their game no matter how much Rosie tried to stop them. Diesel took no notice. He had wisely decided to stay clear. Then there was trouble. Bill pushed the truck too hard. The train! Cried Diesel. Diesel was panting up behind with every ounce of strength he had. He managed to close the gap, but he was running at full speed. Stay with them, Diesel, shouted his driver. I can't keep up with them, panted Diesel. On, laughed the trucks. You can't catch us. Faster and faster they went. The trucks were beginning to pull away. Diesel tried his hardest, but it was no use. No, he groaned. Up ahead, Percy was waiting at a signal. Look out, shouted Diesel in horror, but it was all in vain. So Diesel tried to stop the runaway, exclaimed Thomas. Indeed, he ran right after it and didn't stop to think about his own safety, explained Rosie. It was very brave of him. Bill and Ben have gotten away with it, and poor Diesel is accused of being the culprit. I'll see to it that Bill and Ben get their comeuppance, replied Edward firmly. I tried to tell someone, but no one would believe me. This changes everything. We can't sentence him to exile if he is innocent. The facts are clear now. All in favor of innocent, please whistle. We've cleared Diesel's name. Where is he anyway? Oh, I think he's over by the goods shed in the yards. He isn't anymore, said the shedmaster. I've just got word from the signalman. He was told to leave and has already left the yards about an hour ago. Then we must intercept him, cried Edward. The engines frantically steamed out of the sheds in a desperate bid to stop Diesel. Poor Diesel, whispered Percy. What have we done? It was a nightmare. The engines could barely see anything in the storm and would call out to the signalmen in their boxes. Please, they would say, it's an emergency. And so the normal night trains were all set aside to allow them through. Finally, in the dull lights under the roof at the works station, he saw a familiar-looking engine. Diesel, thank goodness you're still here, panted Edward. I've no choice, said Diesel. He won't let me go. You're not going anywhere. Whatever are you engines doing here? Called the station master. Old Frank in the box there has been telling me his phone has been ringing non-stop for the last hour about this Diesel. The inspector is on his way. Explain. As Edward told the tale, more engines arrived on the scene, all pleading their case. The station master was a kind man and listened carefully. Right, he said, when they had caught him up to speed. We'd better be quick then. The inspector will be here soon. I'll speak with control to get you back to the new sheds. All of you. All sections of the main line received notice of a special train coming from the works, and for all other trains to be shunted. First came Edward to clear the line, and thunderously came a parade of engines. In the middle of the formation, under escort, was Diesel. It didn't escape his notice that everyone who came to his rescue was a steam engine. By morning, the storm had eased to a light rain as the special train arrived. Bear got as close to the sheds as he could, but Gordon, James, and Henry were outside waiting. Keep out! The three engines barred his way. Not this again, came a voice. The fat controller strode up crossly. These passengers have come to take your pictures. Why have you... Whatever is the matter, Edward? Please, sir, ask Bear to leave the passengers there until you've had a chance to come in, sir, he frowned. The fat controller entered the shed and quietly closed the door behind him. The dispute he saw was acrimonious. The inspector was berating every engine around the turntable. His clothes were soaked and he looked like he hadn't slept a wink. No thought to the timetable, no care for procedure or process, calls from every signalman down the line reporting unusual activity, took my bicycle out in the middle of the night, the middle of a thunderstorm to the workstation, and by the time I'd arrived, you'd all cleared off. Ruined my uniform, signalmen colluded and conspired against me to get you back home in your warm little sheds. All because of him. The fat controller saw instantly what he meant. Parked behind him, Duck was protecting Diesel. He was hissing steam ferociously at the inspector. You said you'd give us until first light to figure out the truth, Percy jeered. But you sent Diesel away during the storm anyway. You didn't have all the facts, scowled Toby. Silence! Sir Topham Hatt left and put me in charge. An engine caused a severe accident. I made the decision to part ways with this troublesome Diesel. Did you really think I was going to let you lot tell me what to do? The Fat Controller had heard enough. Inspector, a word, if you please. The inspector wheeled around, surprised. Sir, these engines have mutinied. All out in the middle of the night, traffic Yes, I heard, smiled the Fat Controller. Inspector, I think you've had a long night. Perhaps, I have, sir, I have. All because of that troublemaker carrying in the corner, that black weasel. On my authority, he must leave. He's on your authority. Well, on my authority, it sounds like perhaps you may have been too hasty in trying to send away an engine on my railway. Now, perhaps over some breakfast we could discuss— No! Shouted the inspector. He stamped over to Doc. Move out of the way at once. I'll drive that wretched thing to the scrapyard myself if I have to move. Doc stood firm. His driver and fireman glared. The engines erupted into a deafening barrage of furious whistles. The Fat Controller sighed. He had tried. He really had. Inspector, he said calmly, this magnificent new shed is railway property, and you must be a member of railway staff to be here. Please leave. The inspector's shoulders twitched. He stood there for a long time, staring right through Doc. Doc stared back. So did Diesel. He finally turned away and walked back to the Fat Controller. These engines broke every rule in the book last night. I'm right about that, Diesel. I know I am. You'll see. And he threw his hat on the ground and left. The big engines came in, leaving Bear waiting anxiously outside. I see before me an array of meddling engines. I do not approve of interference. This is my railway and I give the orders, I give the judgment, and I serve the punishment. However, I am not blind to what you have done. You have saved a fellow locomotive from a malicious prosecution. An act I'm sure was difficult to obtain considering the character that was under scrutiny. I am humbled you stood by, Diesel, and hope your actions will speak on your behalfs to him. Well, sir, I think if it hadn't been for Edward being so level-headed, most of us would have jumped to the wrong conclusion. Indeed, the Fat Controller considered. Well, we all make mistakes. It's what we learn from them that's the most important of all. Now, are you all ready? I'm sure the enthusiasts are keen to see you all. Goodness knows what they think has been happening inside here. I'll be on my way then, came a voice. Diesel spoke up for the first time all morning. The enthusiasts are here to take photos of steam engines. I'd be ruining their pictures. Not a chance, smiled Edward. Diesel looked around. All the engines were looking at him, beaming. "This shed is for the Fat Controller's engines," said Henry simply. The enthusiasts were soon buzzing around the shed, taking photographs and looking at all the engines. Everyone was very happy, but the happiest of all was Diesel. When Boko passed by, he hooted and cheered for Edward. "I knew you'd do it," he cried. Edward beamed contentedly. Bill and Ben were reprimanded firmly. They were shut up in their shed for a whole week and barred from operating on the Fat Controller's railway for 3 months. The twins decided it wasn't worth playing their game ever again. Diesel remained on the railway. He never expressed his feelings, nor did he acknowledge the engine's involvement thereafter. But they knew, deep down, he was secretly grateful. Edward never mentioned that Duck had never whistled for Diesel's innocence in the final vote. He only asked Duck once about it. "I think I thought it was retribution to what he had done to me all those years ago, when I was sent away. Now it was his turn. But as soon as I heard he'd gone, all that hatred and bitterness vanished. All I could think about was doing the right thing. That inspector was out of order. Diesel didn't deserve to be sent away, and I'm glad I stopped him." Edward smiled. "You did the right thing, Duck. I am very proud of you." Edward knew that Duck and Diesel would never be friends, but it seemed at long last Duck had finally let the past go. Even so, the whole ordeal had given all the engines a lot to think about. It seems in life, the facts aren't always clear after all.